Hello and welcome to On the Kerbs. I'm your host, Tima Albers Daily. Joining me this week is Tamires Lustosa. Tamires is a race engineer who's had a breakthrough year in 2022 with her career, which included leading an all-female crew at the 24 Hours of the Nürburgring. We chatted about this, as well as how she got started down this particular career path, what it's like to work under the pressure of a constantly changing environment, if you prefer to go bowling with Kimi Raikkonen or do karaoke with Daniel Ricciardo, and much more. So without any further ado, let's just get straight into it. I hope you enjoy our conversation. Hi Tamires, thanks for being here today. First of all, how are you?
Oh, I'm pretty good. Thank you very much for the invitation.
Oh, my pleasure. So, first question I like to ask everyone I talk to on here, what first got you interested in motorsport?
Well, it all started in the university when I joined the student competition we had up there. We built a concept car to run the Shell Week Marathon.
Okay.
So it was not real, yeah, it was not the as a student, but something aiming fuel efficiency. And when I came to university to study electrical engineering, I came into the project because I was interested in how cars work and just fell in love about the whole thing.
So it seems a very
So my first,
niche project there but then it makes sense with the electrical engineering there, like you say, to go into it then.
oh well, exactly. So it was kind of two parallel things. When I started electrical engineering, I was not sure yet what I wanted to do. But on the other hand, I was always interested in machines and the subject car. I didn't know much or I didn't have much contact, but I was interested in the whole subject. And when I came to uni and I saw this project was running, I thought it was a good opportunity to learn. And so I decided to join it. And as soon as I joined the project, I realized I wanted to do that. But first, I wanted to work in the industry with cars and maybe coming with the electrical development as well for the electronic systems. But as the years went by in competition, competing with other students, I started to be interested in not only in the industry, but also in motorsport. Also because my boyfriend at that time was a racing driver in the past, so he was not racing anymore when we were together, but we used it to go to the racetrack a lot. And then I put this together with all what I was experiencing in the student competition, and I just thought, yeah, I want to try that. So
And so
that's
I'm seeing
how I
how all
got
these
into
ingredients came
motorsport.
together now to get you where you are
Yeah,
today. It's making a lot more sense.
yeah, exactly, exactly.
So for those who don't know, because we don't often see your side of motor racing so much, for lack of a better phrase, in the mainstream side of sports media. So, for those who don't know, what is your current role and what does that entail?
So I'm a motorsport engineer, and for me specifically, that has two meanings. In some events, I'm a race engineer, so I'm responsible to manage the car and the crew throughout the race event. So I decide which configuration of car setup we are going to start the weekend with, and also to optimize the car performance by doing changes in this setup. So as a race engineer, I'm responsible to make the decisions, the strategy, and also analyzing the car and driver performance. But also in some events, I'm a performance engineer, and then my role is to analyze driver and car throughout the dedicated software and extract performance out of it, and also feed the race engineer with the outcome of this data analysis that the race engineer then can make the decision. So some events I am this race engineer, then some races I am the performance engineer. So I like to call it motorsport engineer because it
Yeah,
involves like both of
broader.
them. Yeah.
Do you find it easier or harder to see extract more performance from the car or the driver? Then do you think, or is it kind of you let that be someone else's problem with it? Maybe. you just kind of present the information?
Well, this is a good question. I think both of them are super difficult because I would say maybe the driver, because the car is a machine and it is supposed to work under some physical laws and some mechanical and physical laws. So whatever we do, it is supposed to work, but it may only work depending on the input the driver is giving to the car. So the driver also needs to have the correct reading and to use it, to use the tuning in the correct way. So it's extracting performance of a driver can be tricky because unfortunately sometimes it doesn't matter how many times we say we could do it better, we could do a certain curve better, the driver can't deliver that. So some of them, as more professional they are, easier it is, but some of them they can't put it together what the car is delivering and what we have been talking about improving performance. So that's why I would say, I think bringing the driver into the performance window is maybe more difficult than the car.
You just need
Or
someone
at
who's
least
really, really experienced.
Yeah, exactly. Or at least translate what the driver needs to the car tuning, because something may work for a certain problem, but the driver, the way the driver used to drive may cause different issues, so we need to react to that. So instead of doing something that would be a bit more obvious, just reacting to the driver we have in the car and how he's handling and his
And
inputs.
potentially easier again in that regard if you have a more experienced driver, because they will understand what you're asking of them and they can give you more accurate feedback perhaps that can help you with those tweaks that you make then to the car.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm used to professional races, but also races with amateurs in the car is quite common. So I would say, of course, it's easier when we are on a higher level, but also the racing with amateurs when they also share with a professional driver. It's just quite common in GT racing, at least. So it's a normal situation we go through.
Oh, definitely. And then as a motorsport engineer, I'm going to use that broad term now, as we've just touched on, you kind of have an ever-evolving role as the systems you use progress and improve over time. So how do you handle that constant pressure to be on top of everything?
Well, it's all about the focus and how I'm focused in developing my career. So as I'm really focused to that, I use my free time to update myself on new releases and learn with the mistakes I have done or the successes as well that I have done in an event. So I like to go through things that I could have done better after a race weekend and reflect on that and apply that for the next races. So it's a kind of pressure I'm used to because since I started motorsport, I had to improve myself a lot by my own because I studied as electrical engineer. I didn't really learn about racing, so I kind of had to learn with practical experience and on, and of course lots of cruising simulators. But it was a kind of natural pressure since the beginning, and I'm quite critical on myself. So I like to use my time to reflecting what was right. Okay, this was doing really good, so I can use that for other races, but mainly with mistakes as well, or I do not say mistakes, but things that could have worked better for that specific situation.
Is part of that self-criticism that you were saying about there down to your competitive nature, do you think? And that helps drive it and goes well with that passion that you've now got for motorsport?
Yeah, so it's a kind of everything together. I've always been like that. So trying kind of deliver the best I can in whatever I'm doing. So since the student times and the other jobs I have, but of course it's related as well to the competition we have in motorsport and how I want to go far and further. So it's being developed as well with motorsport, but was already a characteristic I
It's
had in the
already
past
there.
as well. Yeah, was already there, was just increased
Yeah,
since
yeah.
I started.
So then 2022 racing season is over now. How did it go for you?
2022 has been one of the most assertive years, if I can say like that, I've lived so far. So I started to reap some fruits of the learning I've planted so far, and I was also fulfilling dreams as I finally did the Nürburgring 24 hours this year. It was
A good bucket list
after Le
item to
Mans.
tick off.
Yeah, exactly. After Le Mans, it was on the top of my wish list. And I would say assertive because this year, as reaping the seeds, I say it was a year where I got very good feedbacks about my work, not only verbal feedbacks, but also actions, attitudes that showed me I was on the right way.
Hmm.
And so I could experience Nürburgring 24 hours. I also worked together directly with a factory for developed program of a new release, a new car for next year. So I worked together with the factory in the test phase
That's
of
exciting.
this new release. So yeah, super. So was all in one. Lots of learning. Very exciting year. Rewarding as well. So and only positive in many ways. So
Hmm.
2022 was quite generous to me, I would say.
No, it definitely sounds like it. Very enjoyable there, not just for the Nürburgring, but this factory car as well that you get to work on. If I don't understand if you can't say too much on that, but was that how did that come about? Because again, you're in motorsport. Was this kind of someone saw you at the track and decided to have a word, or how did that kind of happen? Because it's not necessarily obvious to jump there.
You mean the experience with the factory or the
Yeah,
Nürburgring 24?
the factory.
With the factory, it is by coincidence related to the Nürburgring because yeah, there I was I was running BMW GT4, and so we had directly support from BMW on the race events. And after that, I was invited by a team that is developing the new GT4 together with BMW. So yes, the BMW is doing the car developer together with a team that is doing, let's say that. So, and because they gave me support at the Nürburgring 24 hours, they invited
Hmm.
me then to work as performance engineer for the testing phase of this car.
And again, like you say, it's a
So
good positive feedback that you must be doing something right if you get that
yeah,
opportunity.
exactly. Exactly is what I mean. Exactly is what I mean. When I say 2022 was a good year, also because of the feedback, the attitudes I got back, is this kind of invitation. For example, this came because they believed my job as a race engineer at the Nürburgring was okay. So they, sorry,
So yeah, have a drink. Power of editing later.
out of nowhere. Yeah, this came out of nowhere. Mm. Yeah, because they believed I did a good job, and they this was the reflection of this job. So, and I got other good opportunities as well, coming from as a feedback of something people thought it was interesting for them.
Oh, definitely. And just to touch back on the Nürburgring for a moment, because I can't really let that go without talking about it being such a cool event. What was that experience like for you?
So the Nürburgring experience was amazing. Not only because it was on the top of my wish list, but also because I was leading a complete female team without experience in motorsport. So I always wanted to do Nürburgring because I wanted to see myself why the factories put so much effort in a race to race 24 hours in 24 kilometers with road cars on track. Is one of the craziest races in the world in terms of traffic. And I thought I had to check that for myself. And then I got this opportunity to work with a complete female crew
Hmm.
because I knew one of the drivers already, and that was the door to come to this team. And I would say was one of the nicest thing I have done so far because not only because the race itself is magic, the
Hmm.
public, how it works, the organization is different, the rules are different, and how you plan your race weekend must also be different because at the end you are outside on track for 8 minutes So your run plan, your setup should be focused on that. But not only because of that, but because as well, I was leading this crew without experience in motorsports. So the mechanics, me as an engineer, team manager, and drivers, women. So the drivers were experienced, but the mechanics, they were mostly road car mechanics in normal workshop. And they just wanted to start in motorsport, and the team gave this opportunity to them. Yeah, exactly. What a race to start. So that was the most challenging thing in the road project, to bring the girls to the motorsport spirit, to focus on the right thing, to do what they can do faster, what they should prioritize in a race weekend. So I would say it was a great experience, not only because Nürburgring is beloved all around the world or is legendary, but also because of the whole concept.
Would you say then that because it's a 24-hour long race and you can't really leave and go back and do all these kind of things, you have to be focused for the full 24 hours. And with the people behind the scenes being new to this, like you say, did you find that there was an improvement in performance as the 24 hours went on, or was it pretty consistent and it was all just about learning in this kind of approach?
The improvement came over the race weekends because, as you know, Nürburgring has also other series running on the 24-kilometer track, and we used the races before the 24 hours as a preparation. Yeah, so the first race we did together, there were a lot of I would not say mistakes itself, but misunderstanding, because the girls didn't know exactly how to perform. Okay, I should do this, but all the details behind, and they of course, without experience, they cannot cover. So now, comparing the first race as preparation for the 24 hours and the 24 hours itself, there was lots of improvement in pit stop time, in the preparation before the race, in optimizing the track time. Also, the drivers, they were improving as well, because there was a new car for them compared to the year they drove before.
Make it nice and challenging for yourself.
Yeah, exactly. So the performance itself over the race was quite constant, of course, with the rain, the weather parameter involved. But comparing the first race we took part in the NLS series compared to the 24 hours was a big improvement, I would say.
Then I feel like Nürburgring again could potentially be the answer to the next two questions from what you've said there. Has it been the most satisfying part of your career so far? And has it also perhaps been the most challenging part of your career so far? Or would you say completely different answers for both?
I would say many things are satisfying, because even under real stress, like even under lots of stress in the racetrack, I truly love what I do. So I would say the whole thing is satisfying. Winning a race is also satisfying, and thank God I have won some of them. But perhaps I think Nürburgring 24 hours was the most satisfying one. Not only because I was learning also something new, because it was my first time doing this race. So I was learning the track, learning a new car. I normally work with GT3 cars, never worked with GT4. That is a different performance window that I had to adapt it to, because I was used to the higher performance window.
Was that a big thing that you had to adapt to, or did you find that straightforward and it was just a matter of learning, or was it particularly difficult to do that?
It was particularly difficult because when you come from a faster car mentality, so when you face a problem, you think, oh, okay, I could do this and that, but the GT4, for being a different performance window, then is limited on aerodynamics and limited in some vehicle configuration as well. So you first come thinking that you can solve the problem in a way, when you need to look for a different way then. So I would not say extremely difficult or challenging, but was definitely a point I had to work on a lot, especially because coming with this mentality. But yeah, I would say it was one of the most satisfying things I did, because then I put all of this together, learning the new track, learning the new car, but also bringing the crew then to a competitive level, because I saw they wanted to do that. They were there, they asked it to be there. So it was
That
their goal,
helps, I
their
imagine,
dream.
as well. Then, if you've got that kind
Yeah,
of group mentality that you all know what you want to do. It's just a matter of how do we get there the best way.
exactly. And I kind of see as well myself at the start when I wanted to do that, and I wanted to listen everything they could teach me, and I wanted to listen everything they could say, because I wanted to do this and to get better. So I was trying to teach the girls to bring them into the motorsport experience. So it was satisfying not only on the professional side, but also on the personal side as well. Because it was even when I'm race engineering other events, I have to lead the crew, of course, the mechanics, but they are mostly experienced, know most of the time what to do. So in this case was a truly leading management situation as well, that I didn't experience directly motorsport yet. So I would say professionally and personally was quite satisfying.
Was it a bit surreal then as well that, like you say, you had all these new-ish people wanting to learn, and you were the one teaching them?
Uh, yeah, so they knew how to cheat. So they even when I had to be a bit hard sometimes, they were happy to get this input. Yeah, yeah,
Perfect.
it was quite interesting.
So then, would you say that there was some other part of your career that was the most challenging thing for you to deal with, and if so, how did you get past that?
In my situation, endurance race is challenging because of the physical and mental energy you have to put into it. But it's also satisfying. So, but I think in my situation as a woman, the most challenging thing in motorsport is to handle people that don't want a woman in the
Mm.
business. And I had, unfortunately, a situation with factory support that didn't really accept women working in a racing car. And he would then have to be our support on the rest weekend, but he would not talk to me for no reason. So we never had any disagreement or anything. Luckily, it was just this situation. It's very punctual. Only this, but because most of the times I'm very well received in the team. I mean, I never really have problems just because I'm a female. But in this situation specifically, it was challenged because for me, it's so unprofessional. But it's a
Yeah.
person it's a person that is really known into motorsport, that has been doing this for really long. For other
Mm.
teams, it's quite known, and I was the new one, but I had to adapt for that because he was supporting our team. So, but I
Frustrating.
I just had yeah, it is because there was really no reason for that. And sometimes I would need information from him. He would talk to the mechanics, but not giving me the information directly.
Well, again, it's one of those
So
things you don't need to necessarily get along with the other person on a personal level, but like you say, there's a professional. You're there to do a job, so you
exactly,
at least
exactly.
do
So
that. So
yeah, exactly. So I have nothing against this kind of thinking. That of course is not ideal, but at the end people can think whatever they want. So if they think a racetrack is not a place for women, it's okay if they think like that. But as if I'm a customer and I need
mhm.
the service, like
Yeah,
the service should be delivered.
it's work.
So
So
yeah, exactly. So I think it was quite unprofessional that he would never talk to me, but to everybody else in the team instead. But I just handled that, also avoiding to talk to him, because the only times we had the opportunity to talk, he was extremely rude. So then it was just one more person around in the garage. That's why I handled that. And luckily, there is always more than one person that the factory um, gives you as support. So
that's
when
good.
was the case? Yeah, I was always trying to solve problems on my own. But when was the case then that the factory had more people on track, I would go to a different one. So
It's
because
good that that
otherwise it
is
would
in
be.
place, but still frustrating that you need that in the beginning.
Yeah, exactly. This is the most challenging thing because everything else we can
But
handle.
because there's nothing really you could have done to change that, because it's not like you were being bad at a particular area of your job or anything, so you couldn't find somewhere to improve on because there was just nothing, there was no reason for it, like you say. So it's hard to,
Yeah,
if you're a
exactly,
problem
exactly.
solver, you can't do anything.
Yeah, if it would be because of a conflict we had,
Mm.
a disagreement or something, you would say, okay, we don't agree on something. We had a difficult situation once on a racetrack, but it was like that since the beginning. Even before we met, when I saw him in the garage doing an update in the car, and I spoke to him the first time, he was extremely rude at that answer. And I was just a normal person. So it was not because any conflicts we
Mm.
had, but just because it was the way he used to treat people, especially women. But he was also difficult with men. So, but he retired this year, so it's a
Well, there
challenge
we
that
go. One
I'm
out the way,
free of.
one less person to deal with.
Yeah, exactly. But I would say that was the most challenging thing. Otherwise, despite the normal challenges of a race weekend, especially in endurance, this is could be the most annoying.
What advice then would you give to someone who's looking to get into your side of motorsport?
Um, to absolutely not give up. Um, to don't give up no matter what the circumstances are, and the circumstance can be quite negative sometimes. To do not fear hands-on, or to do not avoid hands-on and dirty tasks,
Mm-hmm.
and to start from to be open to start from below, to start from a low point. So when I started that, I wanted so hard, but I knew my experience and my competences were not competitive yet. So I was willing to do whatever job in motorsport first, just to see how they work and how the business itself run. So I would say not avoiding to start from a lower point, and not avoiding hands-on dirty tasks. And despite, of course, seminars and courses in this area.
Definitely, it's good advice. And like you say, we're seeing more and more of these kind of programs and courses coming up now, especially geared towards women and encouraging them to do this. So definitely a good time to be getting into it as well.
Yeah, exactly. It's a kind of advice I would give to everyone. Actually,
Yeah.
sometimes people come to me through the social media asking how I did start and what I could advise. Is an advice for everybody, but especially for girls, because it is with good intentions most of the time, but they kind of want to prevent us to lift something heavy, or there are some kind of. And I was never afraid I never really opened a gap for that, because I said, if it's heavy for me, it's heavy for you as well. So we both can do that. So
Mhm.
if I'm gonna burn myself on that, you are gonna burn yourself too. So why you should be
Oh,
burned and not
exactly.
me? Yeah. So that was always my approach. So I would say not being afraid of dirty tasks and hands-on, especially for girls, because most of the time they want to be nice, they have good intentions, but unfortunately we handle lots of different people, and some of them also have the mentality like, oh, okay, she wants to be the princess of the restaurant and not doing this or that job. So we kind of have both situations, people that just think like, no, you can hurt yourself, so you don't have to.
Yeah.
Or also people who would do that, but in the background would say, yeah, but she's here, just to sit on a computer. So unfortunately, it is like that, but I don't see it as a real problem. I think this exists in
It's just
every
the more
every
that
business, to be
more
honest.
women come into it, the
Yeah,
more it'll be get used to then, and it will slowly
yeah,
phase out
yeah,
then.
exactly, exactly. So it's just the way how it is. I think it would be the same if one man is also working in a completely female environment.
Yeah.
So there would be also some disagreements.
A couple of fun questions not related to motorsport to finish off with then. Would you rather go bowling with Kimi Raikkonen or would you rather do karaoke with Daniel Ricciardo?
That's a really funny question. I would do karaoke with Ricardo.
Straight away,
With Daniel.
know exactly what you want to do, though.
Yes, because I think bowling with Kimi, hopefully I'm wrong, but it would be too technical and too and too much focus on performance instead of fun. And karaoke with Ricardo would be all about smiles and laughs.
That is very true.
That's how I see both of them. Kimi as a very technical person, very focused, but is also pretty good, and Daniel as 100% smiles and laughs. So I think it would be more relaxing to do karaoke with Daniel.
If you could learn any new skill and immediately be the best at it, what would you choose?
Swimming. I can't swim.
Oh, okay. Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
It'd be very handy as well.
I tried. Yeah, I tried already, or I'm always trying. People are to teach me, but no, it's unfortunately I feel that I can't. And normally, if there's something I see I can't do, I try to start somehow at least to be a beginner. But swimming, like till now, I didn't really get it. No, I can move in a swimming pool like from A to B, but then I wouldn't call that swimming. So if I could learn this skill, then I would like to be as well the best of it, just to say like, yes, I did it.
Unexpected, but very, very practical answer there. I like that to finish off with.
Oh yeah, it's a skill I would definitely learn. Be more into the sport then, because I
definitely
can finally swim. Yeah.
Well, it's been an absolute pleasure chatting with you. I want to thank you very much for your time today and wish you the best of luck with everything that you get up to in 2023 and beyond.
Thank you so much. I say thank you for the invitations. The interview was quite nice. The points we went through. Thank you for the Insta race as well. And yeah, let's see. Still having only one race this year in December in Abu Dhabi, so hopefully that will be successful. And then fully preparation for the next season. Thank you so much.
Looking forward to it. Thanks again to Tamires for coming onto the Kerbs with me, and I want to wish her the best of luck for 2023 and beyond. Join me again soon when I'll be chatting to another famous face from the world of motorsport. And in the meantime, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, and check out the other interviews on the On the Kerbs YouTube channel. If you want to hear more from me, you can listen to me chat about F1, amongst other things, over on the Undercut podcast, and you can also hear me dissecting everything Nitro RX related, including chatting with special guests over on the Nitro RX podcast. Both podcasts are available here on YouTube, as well as over on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and wherever else you like to listen. You can also follow me over on Instagram at t.albers.daily.onthekerbs and read my various motorsport articles over on Is It Fast, Paddock Passion, and Paddock Sorority. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you again next week for the next episode.